It's 6:35.
Recording in
Welcome to the
progress.
Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority Special Meeting Agenda. Today's date is Wednesday, August the 10th, 2022. And call to order. Due to the declaration of emergency, this meeting is being held pursuant to AB 361, approved by Governor of California on September 16, 2021, and some or all the City Council members may participate in this meeting by teleconference. Pursuant to Imperial County Public Health Department guidelines, City Council meetings are now open for public attendance at 100% capacity of the City Council chambers. Public participation will continue to be available in the following ways. Members of the public are encouraged to watch the meeting via live stream at http://communityspectrum.org live at 6:30 p.m. or via the Calexico City Hall Facebook page at www.facebook.com/cityofcalexico.ca. Members of the public will be able to make public comments in the following ways. In-person comments. Submit public comments via email by 2 p.m. on Wednesday, August the 10th, 2022 to our city clerk at email address ggarcia@calexico.ca.gov or via fax at 760-768-2103. You may make public comments via Zoom from a PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or Android device. The telephone to dial is 1-669-900-6833. The webinar ID number is 889-5993-2301, and the passcode is 334668. I will call roll call. Javier Moreno, Chairperson, here. Raul Ureña, Mayor Pro Tem.
Here.
Camilo Garcia, Council Member.
Here.
Gloria Romo, Council Member.
Here.
Rose Ariola Fernandez, Council Member. Thank you. We have a quorum. Please stand up for a pledge of allegiance.
Please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Our next item is approval of the agenda. So move on Mrs. Romo. Anybody second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ureña. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. We're now in public comments and public appearances, not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the City Council on the special agenda items only. The mayor will recognize you when you come to the microphone. Please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the City Council meetings with personal or slanderous remarks. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. Ms. Garcia, do we have any online comments? No? Okay. We do have one gentleman, Mr. Benny Horton. To item number 3? Okay. For item number 2. Okay, discussion and potential action items. Number 1, approval of the bid documents for the New River Improvement Project, Calexico Reach, and authorization for Public Works Department to send the project out to bid.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Good afternoon. We completed the bid documents this week, and I said we, the staff and the attorneys and ourselves. However, we received at 4:30 p.m. today notification from the Department of Water Resources to make some additional changes to the plans. Basically, it's materials, the quality of the materials that will probably lower the cost of the project at the end. So we are requesting that we receive approval for the bid documents subject to those additional changes in materials and to release the bid as soon as we have the materials approved by the state.
Okay, the discussion?
My apologies. I have the correspondence from the state.
Okay.
Yes, and it's at 4:30 p.m. today.
Okay.
Yeah, and we did review the comments. I think the comments received are comments we should be able to address with them. So
Okay.
that's the reason we're still continuing with the item.
Okay. Any discussion?
I'll just make a motion to approve, subject to the changes that were mentioned.
Okay. Second, Ms. Romo. Any discussion?
Yes. Esperanza,
Yes, sir.
I know we're discussing the bid, releasing this bid, there's RFP, but something related to this item also that I haven't heard, or maybe it might be in this backup, I doubt it, but what's the plan for the maintenance and operation of this project after this is said and done? Is there an MOU, city, IID, county? How are we going to support this after this is completed?
So as a county employee back in 2016 and 2017, at the-
just get a little bit closer to the microphone,
Okay.
please? Thank you.
when I was working at the county back in 2016, 2017, the Department of Water Resources Control Board requested that we create an MOU between the three entities, which is the City of Calexico, the IID, and the County of Board of Supervisors, the County of Imperial. And basically what they wanted is to have a commitment in writing through an MOU, executed commitment, for $50,000 for each one of those entities to maintain the trash screen and the pumping system that it will be installed when they complete the project. The MOU was executed, it took us about a year to complete that MOU, in which each one of those entities were committing $50,000 at that time. So the MOU exists and was finalized back in 2017.
Now, are those $50,000 a one-time, or is that an ongoing?
No, the MOU was for, if I recall correctly, was for 20 years, but there's also clauses in the MOU to either revisit the project, the cost, or to walk away from the MOU. Those are the two elements. I can bring to the next city council meeting the MOU that was executed at that time.
I would like to see it,
Yes.
and I think it's beneficial for the council because this is a multi-million-dollar project, which is great.
Yes.
But, part of the whole process and the planning and the execution should be also the maintenance and operation of this project. And if I would like to see that MOU and the commitments as to who's going to be contributing financially,
Yes.
and or whatever else they're going to contribute, because sustainability of this project is really crucial for the future. So it will be a disservice to build it and then not being able to sustain it.
So lately, most of the funding sources, and this is by experience in dealing with grants, funding agencies are not longer approving projects that are not showing any sustainability. And for that reason, the Department of Water, the water boards requested that we have an MOU before they release $1.4 million for the planning portion. Without that MOU, they wouldn't be able to release that portion, which took us to this final engineering designs and the environmental documents to be completed. So yes, it's definitely, I will bring it to the next meeting for you to review it, and hopefully everything goes well.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's
One
very
else?
clear.
No?
It's very clear, Mr. President.
Okay. So there's a motion on the floor, second by Ms. Orenya. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. Motion carried. Our next item is number 2, approval of the resolution of City Council of City of Calexico reaffirming and updating the budget to fiscal year July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023.
Yes, this item, I'm going to require Ms. Fonseca to come on board with us. This item is to alleviate some of the confusion about the adoption of the budget back in June 30th, 2022. I was not part of the city, and so my understanding there were two resolutions, one to continue, a continued resolution, and the other one approving specific items. So what we did, we went and reviewed, and we have different sense of what was approved. So in order for us to alleviate the issue, the staff and I work with the consultant and along with the attorney so that we can get together a resolution that addresses all the concerns and then get the budget adopted with the following items that Ms. Fonseca is going to go through it. Thank you.
Good evening,
Good evening.
council members. Yes, we work together, Mrs. Warren and myself, as with the consultant, and we heard the comments from the council, their concerns, and we brought up this new resolution where it's adopting, it's reinstating and affirming what we did on June 30th, and it also bringing more items so we can adopt the budget, which is how the Measure H wants, how we're going to be putting the Measure H. Also, the demolition, that was very important for us to do the demolition on Cesar Chavez Boulevard. There are some exceptions still on this resolution, as you may see. One of them is the vehicles, and the other one is a project for the changing of the water chlorine thing. Other than that, the rest of the things that were brought up on when we proposed the budget are on this resolution. I don't know if you have any specific questions since this was presented to you before. I don't know if you have any specific questions for this resolution.
So I do want to clarify one item, that it was the chlorine. So as you may or may not remember, the the water treatment plant is currently has a chlorination system that is operated with gas rather than liquid. So the staff has addressed some concerns about having this gas element, and in order for us to be able to address the issue and to find out how much it's going to cost us in the future, we have reached out to the NatBank, which now has the Water and Environmental Commission as a funding agency that funds projects for review the current situation of the facility. It's grant funding, it's not something that we pay. And so they address the issue, identify potential issues and potential solutions. And once that we have that document, then the city council can make a change or maybe remain in the same system. But I don't feel that that I will make a decision without an engineer reviewing the project. I think it's their forte. I'm not an engineer, so I will not be able to address the concerns without the proper engineering done. So we will be submitting an application. We were going to be working with the funding agency to see if they're going to they can find up to $500,000 just to do preliminary engineering report, identifying the issues and the potential solutions and environmental documents. So once that we have that completed, then we'll come back and let you know what the results are of the study. Yes.
So is that for the chlorination system?
Yes,
Is that what
so
you're talking about? Because
there was an item in the budget that
Correct. I remember that.
wanted to switch the system, but there was no.
Understood. But on that, if we can really look at that from a very technical and talking to the experts
Yes.
on changing that system, right? I understand that we have been told, but the potential issues with that, but also, I mean, I recall, taking a tour, a year or so ago, and also being mentioned that facility was upgraded not too long ago.
Exactly.
And it seemed very, very well built. Again, I'm not an expert,
Yes.
but that's why I would like to have an expert look at that and just what it would cost, and not just because maybe it might be, I don't know if it is more advantageous for us from the perspective of maybe saving money,
Yes.
maybe switching to chlorine, liquid chlorine, whatever that might be. But I just don't want to spend just because, even if it is through a grant-funded type of opportunity, but there might be, and they are other things that we can address. If that system is okay and it's, not something that we have to change it because of changes in the law, changes in the requirements from, Cal EPA, you name it, whatever agency that regulates that component or that distribution, water distribution. So why touch it? So let's have an expert before we proceed, before we're talking about $500,000 here, $80,000 there. Let's just look at it and again, we invested in that facility, 10 years ago or so. I think that was the kind of like the date that we were told that it was built or was retrofitted, and it seems that it's very well built based on the specifications that were required for that liquid, chlorine or whatever. So again, my point is that let's go with the experts. Let's not jump the gun and start, spending or looking at spending money that we don't have, or maybe we might have through a grant, but we know that we can use it with that for that purpose also for that water plant or anything else. We do have other needs at the water plant. If that's not one, let's look at where we can invest, those funds.
So usually the way that this funding works, they are all engineers, and what they do an analysis of how the water plant is functioning, and they will prepare what is known as preliminary engineering report. They identify all potential issues, not just the chlorination system, but other potential issues that they can see. And once that they do that, then they will provide recommendations. Now, recommendation doesn't mean that we need to follow the recommendation. It's up to the city council whether or not to proceed to request additional funding. When I mentioned up to $500,000, it could be that the preliminary engineering report may cost only $100,000 or $150,000. We don't know until we develop the scope of work, present it to them, and then they will come to kind of like a site visit, and they will guide us to the process. And before we submit any application, my job is to come back to the city council and request an approval from you to submit a formal application. It's just a exploratory situation, and for that reason, that's why we removed this item from the budget.
And I understand that, but when you say engineering, I'm thinking structure, right? But I also want to know on the feasibility of using, liquid versus gas also.
Yes.
I think that's the big question here, and that's actually the reason why we have this item that specific item or line item on this, point that we're discussing. But I just want to make sure, why the switch? Is it because is it going to save us money in the long run? Is it because we're required to switch, or just because we just want to switch?
Yes. No,
I
no.
mean, I'm just giving different options or
No.
possibilities. But let's just make sure that we study that, and that you come back with that also. I mean, and I guess that's what you're referring as engineering study.
Yes.
But make sure that you get the expert, or if you can get the expert, because I would like to make a decision based on that, on the
Yes.
expertise of someone that knows about that.
That's exactly
Right,
the
thank you.
approach. Thank you.
This is not the first time this has been brought up, switching over to chlorine.
Yes.
As I understand, right now, it's working, and I was opposing the changeover because of the cost.
Yes.
I think we went through that before, some years ago. And if it's working, if we're not required to change,
Exactly.
I don't see why we need to make that expense.
Yes.
That's my opinion, because it's a pretty large expense.
And-
As I understand, I did talk to people that work in the water plant,
Yes.
and they're in agreement for us to continue as it is.
Yes.
So, and when we bring back the report, then I guess we will revisit it, and we move forward with that.
And that's the reason why this item is being deferred. Yes, we pull it out on the side, and that's the reason. Thank you.
In my opinion, congratulations. Very clear, very good presentation. This budget is for only 1 month.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Very good job.
Okay, then we do have one item, public comment on.
Good afternoon, council and community members joining us. My name is Ivan Negrete, engineering technician for the City Engineering Department. I want to let council know that there's a mistake on the proposed budget, the same mistake as the previously unapproved on July. Should council approve this budget, this will be the second consecutive year that the city is run without a project inspector. The project inspector is out in the field monitoring public and private projects to ensure contractors follow construction regulations, quality control, and to maintain public safety in the city infrastructure. Right now, the city is run without engineering supervision of new construction and new developments, even Though contractors and investors are being charged for inspection fees, these fees are in the tens of thousands and they are not receiving that service. In addition, a part-time position has been included in the budget that covers an already filled position. This results in having two persons doing the same work in the engineering department. While I appreciate the help for a 5-person department that is currently being run by one, it is a waste of money by having the same position twice and leaving all other critical department activities undone. There is a management and staff vacuum in the engineering department, and this budget does not address, and the mainly affected are public safety, investors, and the regulatory integrity of the city. Ivan Negrete, city staff, Calexico resident.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve, but before I do, just to clarify what this item is, I'm a big advocate for the restaffing of the planning department. It remains a priority. This particular budget doesn't touch so much on staffing, but in the next or the first meeting in September, we will have that complete budget that will come with staffing allocations. So we are on it, and we're getting there within the next couple of meetings for sure.
Correct.
Okay, so your motion to approve,
Approve.
and who seconds that? Who's like that?
Thank you.
Second by Ms. Romo, okay. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Who was the
Okay.
first one? Who was the motion? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes, want to make sure.
okay,
Ureña
Thank you.
and Ms. Romo. Thank you.
all right, motion carried, thank you. Item number 3, authorize one Parks, Recreation, Beautification, and Senior Services Commissioner representative to attend the 2022 National Recreation and Park Association Conference in Phoenix, Arizona on September 19th to the 23rd, 2022 with council member, we said it was Mr. Romo, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As you may recall, on July 28, 2022, we brought this item for your consideration for one council member and one staff person to attend the conference. However, Ms. Palomera and myself, we're very, very busy with short staff, and so we unfortunately cannot attend the conference, especially also because in my case, I had to go to the League of the Cities and then come back and stay 4 days and then go again, so it's almost impossible for me to go anywhere. So with that said, we mentioned this to Ms. Romo, and she requested maybe one person from the commissioner should attend. So I bring in this item for your consideration, for your review, and to see if we can switch the person, the staff person, to a commissioner from the parks, a park commissioner.
Discussion?
I said, if staff cannot attend because this presentation or this convention is based on staff to get certified. So if staff cannot attend, why should we send a commissioner? This is the first time that I ever hear this nonsense. I'm sorry. But, you know, taking a commissioner, I don't see any how is it, it's going to help our city. Not only that, this is not the first time that Mrs. Romo attended this type of convention. She said she's went twice when she was in Heffernan. Now, Ms. Romo, maybe my question is to you. What did you bring back when you went over there the twice? Did they adopt the park for us? What makes you think that going this time, we're going to get something out of it?
I do have...
My question is to Ms. Romo.
Yes, but I'm going to speak on that. Number one, in this commission, my commissioner, Joanna Espinosa, with her bare hands, with the help of Calexico Needs Change, is creating a whole park in John F. Kennedy. That woman in that commission is one of 5 that is highly qualified to go there, bring topics of experience to what Ms. Roma wants to do. So what's different? No, this is not a certification conference. This conference obviously has evolving topics, and one of the things that was on that conference is, for example, how skate parks can be places of inclusivity, the importance of LGBT inclusivity in our public parks as a way to combat homophobia and domestic violence. And I just think that the nitpicking is not okay on this item, and the type of pointed questioning is disrespectful because, you know, we've heard about budget, we've heard about $2,000 this, but with all due respect, Miss Mayor, or Miss Ex-Mayor, you spent $8,000 on a video when you were mayor. I will bring up the past because I will remind people of the decisions that were made. And while we're on the budget, we could have had $2 million to invest in this city had we not given employees a $1.2 billion city bonus of $7,000 and then $600,000 for police vehicles that we don't even have cops for, right? So we're here nitpicking about $2,000 and blah, 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 and whether it's a commissioner or a staff member, if we hadn't made those reckless decisions that cost us $2 million, we could have sent all the staff. But we made those reckless decisions. There's 2 out of 3 people who made those decisions that still don't own up to them, but one person has, and that is Mr. Moreno. And I honor him for that, and that's why he is mayor. Because Mr. Moreno admits when he has made mistakes. And that's beautiful because that's how we become team players, that's how we move forward, and that's how we make decisions. So I just wanted to clarify, and I just wanted to, if Joanna, I know her boyfriend's here, El Ismael from Calexico needs change, and some members, thank you so much for the absence of the city and where we're spending those $2 million. You guys picked up with your bare hands and are building parks, doing our jobs. Thank you. If you could, actually, Mr. Mayor, can he come?
Yeah, but we have Mr. Parton first, but
No.
Ms. Roma, you going to say something about this?
No, it's a very good opportunity
Okay, good.
for Joanna and for the city. Rosie, sincerely, always you have negative comments. Please. No, oh yes.
Incredibly negative.
The same way you have your comments, I have my comments and my view.
Okay, please support all commissioners.
To work for the citizens of Calexico. And I don't like to save the money like you said, okay? So, this is my opinion, and I respect your opinions, I respect Mr. Ureña's opinions, but I don't.
Okay.
And
Okay.
bring up past or bring up whatever. I think, we just need to move forward like you said, okay?
Thank you. Mr. Garcia?
Yeah. And again, no disrespect to any commissioners. In fact, I appreciate their willingness to help and volunteer. But I do have to concur. And I'm looking at the fiscal impact, and it says the city will be covering these expenses. Exactly what line item from the budget it's being used, or what funding source is being used?
It's funding that we have for travel. That's what we're using for. It's only
We
travel.
as the entire city or council?
It's as a city, as the entire city.
Okay, what's the budget on that?
The budget
What's the
is,
balance?
$4,163.
what?
That is the balance of that budget, $4,163. Era algo así, ¿no?
Yes.
Plus or
4,000.
minus, I think, like 3 cents.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we do that, we only have, half of that left, for the remainder of the year, for this council to
See, this-
participate in other,
So this council approved $8,500 at the beginning of the year, and then some other amount for the city manager, and some other amount for public works. But what happened is when we scheduled the meeting to go to the League of the Cities, and then later on, 2 council members decided not to attend the meetings. We had some cancellations. We got back the registration, but we didn't get back the hotel because it was done through Expedia. So we lost money on that. Because it was a decision made later on, and then Expedia only allows to do 24 hours or 48 hours cancellation. So we were out of time, and it was the cheapest rate that we couldn't get
Ms. Collier?
because at the beginning, everybody was in agreement with that.
If I may, I understand, and I know we're limiting to ourselves to that budget, but coming back to my original comment, last year, we spent $8,000 on a video. That money, Mr. Mayor, may I speak?
Okay, who's speaking first?
I have
Okay.
the
Adelante,
floor.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I have the floor. and I
Mr.
will-
Cole,
it's
Ms. Cole,
just
you done?
irritating.
You done?
No, what I'm saying is, we do have funding. We have about, between those 3 accounts, we have somewhere in the $6,000 more or less.
Okay.
Because I requested the budget. I needed to make sure that we had the funds.
But then also the distance option, through online also participation is available, which is a fraction of the cost, and that's what we brought up, the last time. And I think for the purpose that Mr. Ureña is alluding, which I agree, we have to make our parks more inclusive, more welcoming, in a place where people can go and use, and but I think that can be done also remotely. You're very familiar with that. I'm very familiar with that. And I think out of all this, what we went through this pandemic, I think we became very good at, doing that via Zoom, via distance learning. And I think that's a great opportunity. And in fact, maybe not only one commissioner can attend, but maybe two for the cost of two, signups.
Sure, but I mean, we go back to the original point that we were not this critical with previous expenses. I mean, I could have also said I could have gotten you a photographer for $200 to make an $8,000 video, and then we would not be having this argument. But that
I'm going to stop you there, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to stop you there, okay?
Okay, no, but he's got the floor. Let him finish, okay?
Thank you. I mean, I understand. If we cannot examine our past, we cannot make better decisions. And so we're fighting about smaller amounts that I wish we would have been more critical in the past. And that's just all I'm gonna say. O sea, this is more than we'll budget it. We have the money for this, and we could have had more money had we not made some reckless errors in the past. And that's all I'm gonna say.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yes, go ahead.
And again, you're talking about errors. You know how much it costs us attorney fees because you both call the attorney or wants information from our attorneys? We should look into that. If you're going back on the expenses, so I think we should bring out some other stuff up. No, this is no sense on moving back and forth. We're supposed to work together, and we're working for the citizens of Calexico, okay? Enough is enough. And you, Mr. Mayor, you need to control your people here too.
Thank you. Mr. Horton, you have anything to say? You're next. You're next, I have here. Go ahead. Anybody else on that item? Okay.
Here they start again.
City Council, distinguished members of the City of Calexico, I concur, and with Mr. Urena, you and the Mayor went to Las Vegas for a get-together. What was accomplished there? I'm not going to go into, let that be a point for discussion at another point, okay? Now, we're talking about, and I talked about it before, and when I talked about it before, with due respect to Miss Rommel, she went all over me about it. But I realized something when I was sitting there. She was explaining to me in Spanish, not English. She didn't explain to me in English, it was Spanish. Now, we're looking at a conference that's going to be in Spanish or English. I think it's going to be in English. Are we able to comprehend? Maybe Ms. Ramos can comprehend part of it. Is the commissioner that's going with her able to comprehend in English? I think not. Yes. Yeah? I think not. If I think it's the commissioner, I think it is. Now, we're talking about competency, the ability to put an idea together and explain it. And I think sometimes we shortchange ourselves just for convenience. And I hope that the City Council will start looking at more of what's the benefit to the city as a whole, not the benefit to an individual just for the glorious moment to be there. Now, last time I brought up the point about using Zoom, but everybody said we had to be there. With respect to Mr. Urena, he was willing to send Ms. Rommel by herself, which I think would have been a mistake in that discussion. Finally, we decided we'll send one of the park people because we're looking at certification. Are we going to have the commission to get a certification? I think not, because that involves something from the city in order to do their job. Some of these meetings are meant to improve the efficiency of the city, not to send a little point just so somebody can say, I went there. I hope that this council will start looking at what we're looking to do and how proficiency we are in doing it. Now, I have requested certain things I used to ask for, but never happened, so I go for public records now. to get my information. Now, you and Mr. Moreno went to a conference in Las Vegas. Did you ever come back and make a report on it? Yes or no? I think not. So it's lost. But we're going to send 2 more people to go to a, let's say, a get-together and come back, and it's lost. We have to have discipline with ourselves and how we want to present ourselves to our constituents and to the public at large. These are things that we have to look at in order to move forward as a city. One thing that I learned when I was in the military, we move and adjust. And we control the situation. We don't let the situation control us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rizzo, you're next.
Madam Clerk, I'm sorry. Madam Clerk, before the speaker comes up, I don't know if it was caught on the microphone, but just for the record, as candidate Gilberto Manzanares proceeded to come give his public records request, I would just love the record to reflect the fact that Ms. Hernandez said, "Oh, here they come." Gracias.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Can I make a comment for all 3 items? Así como tied up together. So,
Okay, all right. First
can I
of
make
all,
one and then I just?
okay, Mr. Rizzo, hold on.
sit down?
I know, Mr. Benihor, I'll address it. Okay, first of all, we already voted on things like item number 1 and 2, which I have
Yeah.
here, right?
Can I-
And-
yeah, yeah.
and that's fine. So we can only speak on items like, right now, they're still
Okay,
active.
But can I put some time?
But they're kind of convoluted, but just stick to the main,
Sí,
which is
Simón.
the park.
So I came here trying to advocate for a skate park, right? There's a recent Calexico Chronicle post where it was really out of topic, and students or children and youngsters and skaters, they started commenting, wanting a skate park. And I'll just like to wind it up together with the first item, because I want to speak on it, but I couldn't. The new river improvements, I know there's like old sketches made with skate parks in it, but I was trying to come here for that. But hearing all these comments about not wanting to help the community by sending someone of the community that is putting their time and effort into approving a city space that the city does help with the freaking sprinklers, con la cortadera de zacate, when a tree falls they clean it with the help of neighbors, right? But I think it's just straight up racism. What Ben Horton was talking about, you speak Spanish, you can't communicate. Como si los mexicanos no son lo que es la ciudad, you know? It's just straight racism. But it's ignorance, first of all. So I'm here to say that Joanna Espinosa, that I don't know who's going to the convention, but I am suspecting Roman and Joanna, but they're both advocates of the community. And I think, how much money was it again that they're spending on for the trip? 2,400. Y al fin del día, like, that's nothing compared into what the budget actually holds. And we could use a lot of staff improvements. And like, la señora Colio no podía ir because there's no staff, there's no hands that can help out with her time, you know? So, I'm trying to speak everything with the budget. I think this is an improvement, más que nada because, you know, Lithium Valley is in the way. We have to start improving our city in many ways. Y networking, first of all. Zoom, what is it called? It's Zoom meeting, Zoom conference. It's not the same as going into one where you actually meet people that can help you get those projects that you're trying to make. But yeah, speaking Spanish doesn't hold you back. So please make that be clear. Thank you.
Mr. Manzanares, you're next.
Buenas tardes, Gilberto Manzanares, for the record. I was just coming here to watch the meeting unfold, to be honest, but when I heard some comments from specifically council members Camilo and Rosy Fernandez about not having money, being, not fiscally responsible, it kind of brought back to me memories of when you voted to give the city employees $7,000 each. from the ARPA funds. Now let's do some quick math. We spent, and correct me if I'm wrong, $1,020,396, ¿verdad? $7,000 each employee, no más full time. City of Calexico was the only city that gave $7,000 checks. El Centro, which is doing much better than Calexico as of right now, gave $3,000 checks. And anybody who works full time knows that $3,000 checks is a good amount of money. I would like a $3,000 check right now, right? Entonces, how do we end up with $7,000 figure? If we really cared about saving our money and being fiscally responsible, as you try to claim right now, for like what, like $2,000? Let me do some math. If we would have modeled El Centro and gave $3,000 checks to city employees instead of 7, we would have saved $585,396,000. More than $1 million. Sorry, more than $500,000. $500,000, which right now I bet we wish we had. Where was fiscally responsible then? It only seems that you're super fiscally responsible and there's never an amount of money of anything when it's something that you don't want something. Not because you actually care about being fiscally responsible, because the proof is there. Your voting record does not say that you are being fiscally responsible, because that right there es la mancha más grande in your voting record when you try to come off as somebody that's being fiscally responsible. City right now would have a little over $500,000 if we would have only modeled El Centro and sent $3,000 checks, which is one, a good amount of money, right? A lot of us worked through the pandemic, we didn't get anything, right? Okay, city employees worked and they kept the city running, you know, muchos de nosotros también somos trabajadores esenciales, pues así nos dicen, and we did it basically for free, ¿verdad? Está bien, okay, El Centro even gave them some money, so we might as well do some. But $7,000? Not fiscally responsible. Thank you.
Any word, motion?
Motion to, ¿quieres hacer la moción tú?
Motion to approve.
¿A quién quieres aprobar?
Joanna Espinosa, Commissioner for Parks and Recreation.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Gabby, we do a roll call now?
Mayor Moreno?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ureña?
Yes.
Councilmember Romo?
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia?
No.
Councilmember Arreola Fernandez? Motion passes.
Thank you. I need an adjournment for motion for.
I just want to make an announcement. We received a resignation from my appointee to Measure H committee. So, Gabby, if you can advertise that opening, if people are interested in, participating in Measure H committee, so you can just make that available for people.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if you allow me, I would like Chief Serrano to give us an update. We have a lot of complaints about the construction that is ongoing on 111 and 98. And so
Okay.
Chief Serrano went over there and talked to Caltrans and to the staff, so I would like him to provide us with an update.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. So there was a lot of traffic issues with Imperial Avenue today, and we were having a lot of complaints with both pedestrians crossing across Imperial Avenue, vehicles getting into the construction zone. And when I went to talk to the superintendent of the construction company, he also acknowledged the problems and the issues that they were having, and they were being frustrated because they couldn't complete the project on time, as they have a time limit to complete this project. So we kind of confer, and we came up with a plan, and they were going to send it up to the state traffic management center so they could get approval, and they got approval. So the plan for tomorrow and also for Friday is they're going to close all eastbound and westbound intersections with the exception of Grant Street and 5th Street. So if any vehicles that need to come south and they need to make that left turn onto, going east or west, they're gonna be able to use Grand Street. Today, there was no east or west turning, so the vehicles were cutting across the construction zone. So that's one. Two, they're gonna have additional California Highway Patrol officers in the area to mitigate some of the traffic issues. They're gonna add additional flags, people at the intersections, so the motorists, if they have any questions, they're gonna guide them either south or north on Imperial Avenue. Second Street, eastbound traffic between Highway 111 and Cesar Chavez is gonna be closed. All northbound traffic from the port of entry is gonna go north on Cesar Chavez. They're gonna, once again, they're gonna add additional signage for vehicles so that they know which way to go. As a police department, we're gonna definitely monitor Highway 98 and Ollie and Cesar Chavez. If need to, the traffic control personnel will be there to facilitate and make that traffic flow a lot quicker. We're definitely gonna start a media campaign to alert drivers and pedestrians that if they're going into Mexicali, to be patient, follow the traffic rules, follow all the traffic officers in the area, and there are going to be some delays, especially tomorrow and Friday because of our heavy southbound traffic. And one last thing, the construction company is going to be working on the northbound lanes today and tomorrow only, not the southbound lanes. So the southbound lanes are going to have two southbound lanes on Imperial Avenue. So we
need more support for that.
Yeah. Also, just this is just an update. It's not on the agenda, so we'll get an update. Let's have a discussion because it's not on the agenda. So it's more of an update with no.
Right, that's no discussion, just an update.
So we're going to work with the construction company to see if if all the plans that we have are implemented and we definitely mitigate all the traffic issues. Then if we need to make any changes, then we're flexible and we'll be able to make those changes on the fly.
Yeah,
Okay,
not-
just
and
real
obviously
quick,
if
so
it-
what would you say to the citizen, because everybody's calling everybody, I've been calling, what would we say right here in the audience, because we can't really talk about this?
Right, so one of the things that we're going to say through the media, to our social media platforms, and also printed and radio and TV is that be patient. There's construction on 111. If you're trying to get into the downtown Calexico, if you're going to take 111, make sure that you turn east or west on Grand Street or Fifth Street. And if you could definitely use the other routes, then it'll be better for you. It'll be a lot easier and quicker and safer to get there and out of the downtown area. Or if you're going to cross over to the west side of town or east side of town, to make sure you use Grand, Fifth, or 98.
Okay, so we're okay with it.
Correct. And if people do have comments, I know staff will be here after the meeting to answer any comments, but we just can't do that as part of the
Okay.
meeting here.
Got it.
All right, thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah, okay, second.
Second by Ms. Romo, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried.